It's my first time speaking, having a speech in English, so I'm a little bit nervous. Or maybe we are just hungry before the lunchtime, but we'll do my best. Um, okay, I'm Hoonshik Sung. It's quite hard to pronounce it, and in charge of role in Big Brother in here, and co-founder and brand director. I started as a young barista in 2009, and now we're doing a more like boring thing rather than like doing the field thing. A company was founded in 2009, and brand launched in 2030, and we have 8 coffee shops in Korea and one, including roastery, and 2 coffee shops in Malaysia, and over 200 wholesale accounts ongoing now. So our brand is launched about 5 years ago, and our brand is started as an online coffee subscription service. At that time in Korea, the coffee market is really on the growth of fastest in the world, but at the same time, the acknowledgement or education-wise, the customers don't much know of the coffee itself. So whenever we talk about the coffee itself, like origins, farms, and altitudes, then people get easily bored and okay, just like let me get a good coffee. So we wanted to focus on communicating more on the coffee people rather than coffee. We think it would be a good start. So we present we set up a we call it coffee guide, and we pack it. It's like all the brandy to the coffee guide. So this is the early stage of the package. So instead of choosing like Kenya, Ethiopia, then they just easily pick up like I'd like to Jenny's one. I like to pick the Jackie's one. It's much more easier for the customers. So this is like historically what we did. So we changed it, we did the operation like seasonal basis. So there was a season one, first season and second season, and now it's ongoing with the 2 guys because it's not easy to get like 3 coffee beans a month. We created this monthly basis. So every time customer comes at a different month, they can taste a different coffee. So nowadays, if our customers come to our cafe every month, then he or she will get the coffee up to like 30 different type of good quality of coffee in a year. So easily get well aware of the diversity of the coffee taste. So this is an example of the November's guide coffee. One is Colombia El Hormiguero. It's also hard to pronounce it for me. It's by the head roasters pig, and the other one is like Costa Rica, the Grantos from the Grantos de Ortiz, selected by our head barista. So we do this every month. So our loyal customers, they tend to wait till the switching of the month, and they come to our cafe like first or second to get a new quality of coffee. So it's being loyal now. So actually, we started, like I said, we started as an online coffee subscription service, and it was quite doing well. So we started to do the coffee store business too. So this was our first coffee shop, still going now. We had a small batch roastery there. Now, not anymore. We moved to the new roastery. And this shop is located in a little bit suburb, not a suburb, like, for example, it's at this area, like if it's example of LA, it's the Hapjeong. And this was a former factory, so we can easily get with comparatively low price, tend to the packed area. So from here, we start the coffee store business. And this is, we love to work with the architects. They know how to do the space, not only do the space, but understand our concept to maximize the fully concept of ours. So this is done by the famous Korean architects too. So the whole building is a cafe. And it's Gangnam. You guys may know, like different way of Gangnam, but actually this is actually really one of the most dense educational area. Lots of academics are here in Gangnam, so lots of early 20s to mid 20s who want to get employed or preparing things is easily it's all for the like youngsters area. So this is former more like co-working space cafe, and we renovate into our Bean Brass cafe. And we also do the small kiosk or a little bit shamlat in department store and malls. And like you see, this is all the different concept because our core value is diversity. To introduce, there are many like different kind of good quality of coffee. So why not for the spaces? So when we do the store, every single store is not, almost different. This is we opened this cafe yesterday, so I couldn't get it here. But this is a new one. I snapshot with the Instagram from our staff. It's a modern Korean style version of cafe. And this is our roastery, and we can stock up to about 200 tons to the storage. And in Korea, it's we have 4 seasons, including rainy seasons. So isothermal and isohumidity facilities quite important, though not many companies do that, but we did. So that's why this is quite big. Actually, like roasting machine size or the area it doesn't have to be really a big one. It just be a good one, then it'll be enough. Okay, so I'll just quickly wrap up to the South Korea's coffee market wrap up with the keywords. I selected the 3 keywords like rapid and buy to instance and polarization. The first one is rapid. If someone's looking to Korean market, not only coffee market but also the other things, and then you guys have to understand about like Korean inborn characteristic of 빨리 is like hurry. Everything is hurry. Like this is actually like growth of the company nationwide. Like 60 years of they made like 10x before the 60 years, and they reached it after 10 times growth after 40 years. So above my generation, they're really like the growth is almost everything to my older generation. So that's why keep going growth is like dominant all over the society. But now our generation is a little bit different. In a different way. Korea is also famous for the techs. There are interesting things that I want to share. This is so-called rocket delivery. So if you order in the morning and the receive in the evening, it was started like early 2010 or 11, and now this company's value is more than like 1 billion USD. And 2 years ago, there was so-called like dawn delivery. So if we are run out, you find that run out of coffee at 11 p.m. and you just click somewhat, then you can get the coffee at the very next morning at 7 a.m. So personally, I can wait like 1 or 2 days, but this is how the Korean is really eager to get it fast. Everything has to be fast. So thanks to this kind of logistics and circumstance, we just focused on the like coffee itself and coffee communication. That is why our online subscription service went well, not only like performance but also brand-wise. This is a snapshot of the cafe show, which is the largest coffee exhibition. I heard that this is the largest in the world, and also it's the biggest exhibition among the industry in Korea. So, like more than 100,000 people from all of the countries coming. And previous year there was a World Barista Championship, and which Dale Harris won. And so this was like really started as a small B2B exhibition and became a huge festival itself. So meaning representing that customers in Korea really love to experience, drink much more about coffee or drinks and other beverages. So this was the previous year's booth of our brand, Bean Brothers. So we were one of the headliner at the show, and we didn't attend. Instead, we're here in LA, so we'll see how it's going. So Koreans drink about 1.5 cups a day, which I think is still have many potential because our generation tend to drink several cups, like 2 to 3 cups. This is accumulation of like older age who doesn't drink coffee at all. So there'll be a chance, though the population is stagnant. So like about 25 billion cups of coffee is sold in 1 year. In terms of dollars, 2017 is like over 10 billion market. Now this year they are estimating like about 12 billion market, and this is mainly due to the like brewed coffee, or this is a roasted coffee actually, not a like pre-made brewed one. It's a roasted coffee one. So it's the compound annual growth rate is quite high. Like every year, 24th is like almost a Warren Buffett's number. And so this is mainly due to the coffee shop sales, like I said, coffee retail, while the coffee product sales stayed stagnant. So if we look into the the distribution market, it's quite interesting. And about half is still on instant coffee market, though it just started to decrease. And other half is RTD, which is mainly sold in convenience store or groceries. And interesting thing is that capsule market is so small that you don't even recognize it in here in the graph. This is really a Korean. This is relatively a Korean thing. So instant coffee is mainly consumed in office, and when the work starts or like team meeting starts, it's related with the confusion value. So the youngest one will make all the instant coffee to the whole team. So there's like social habit things. So social habit sustains this instant coffee market, but not anymore because our generation are quite not familiar with they are more like modernized and westernized, and so they tend to grab a coffee outside, and then he or she won't drink the instant coffee. So this instant coffee is doomed to go to decrease. The other thing is that drinking capsule coffee is positioned as a really an individual thing. So just as I just want a coffee, then get to coffee, and then people will say like, oh, get my coffee, please. So these young guys don't want to drink capsule, rather they just grab it from before the work and then finish it everything. So now the trend is to get 1 liter coffee and drink all day, so that they won't be bothered with the colleagues or boss. Actually, the fun thing is that instant coffee, if you look into instant coffee ads, is Actually, like historically, it's a top model of Korean. I mean, like Korean celebrity always tend to do the instant coffee ads. The right one is Yona Kim, all Olympic gold medalist skater, who is really famous, and her single product contains about 15% of the total instant coffee market, one single product. So that was how it went in the early stage of instant coffee. So like coffee retail is growing. So many of my friends abroad outside Korea asked that it's in a good time for the coffee shop business. And yeah, everybody thought so. So from 2011 and to 2008, about like 7 times growth was there in Korean coffee shop. So if we divide into the population, like the average coffee shop has 565 people per one coffee shop. It's really competitive. There's a joke that in Korea, famous joke that once who is retiring, then he will eagerly he or she will be opening the chicken restaurant, meaning that there are lots of chicken and BBQ restaurants out there in Korea, and the cafe easily exceeds their numbers. It was like about more than 30% of CAGR rate. Seoul is really a packed city, so this is a like area the comparing between LA, Los Angeles, and Seoul. So this is, if I'm not mistaken, if the combined with the LA County or Greater LA, it will be about 17 million. And Greater Seoul, the Seoul plus nearby area is about like 20 to 22 million. So it's quite dense. So that's why people think that because here many people out there in Seoul, so everybody, I can be I can survive. So that's why many people just open a cafe, thought it is really easy compared to other F&B business. So the consequences is like that. The third one is polarization, which I wanna point out two interesting company. One is Starbucks, and the other one is Idea, the local coffee franchise company. So Starbucks is, in terms of revenue, the biggest coffee company in Korea, Starbucks Korea. And in terms of number of shops, this Idea Coffee is the largest. But Starbucks Korea is recorded about 1 billion revenue last year. After like this number is after the like US, Canada, China, Japan is the fifth biggest performance worldwide in Starbucks among the Starbucks countries. It's actually joint ventured with the Shinsegae local department store franchise, which is good at distribution brands, importing the brands to localize. There was one so-called Cafe Bene. It was once the biggest and largest coffee company, coffee franchise. It was a local legend and not anymore. It's shrinking down and down. And about Idir, it's a low-end market brand. They sell coffee about Americano starts with about slightly less than $2. So that market, and it's not directly owned. It's more like franchise one, and more than 2,000 stores nowadays. And they wanted to do the brand repositioning, so they sponsored the WBC last year in Seoul, and the Dale Harris is this Idea's main model. So you can see everywhere You can see there is everywhere in Seoul, like subways, buses, coffee shops. And actually, there is not the first World Bars champion, North Koreans. There was Paul Basse, I think he's 2003 World Bars champion. And almost every Korean may hear of his name because this shop, the Paul Basse, is actually a coffee shop named run by Mail Dairy Company, and there is almost they have almost 100 stores in Korea. So I think Koreans know better about him rather than Australians do, though he's Australian. And the low end is getting cheaper and cheaper. It's like this guy is Jongwon Baek. It's like a Korean version of Danny Meyer. You can interpret it like that. And he used to do the other F&B restaurants like pork and BBQ, other things, and recently started the really cheap coffee franchise called Baekdabang. It is selling Americano at 50 cents, and there are many conflicts on that, so now it is recovering to $1, but still I think it's still too low. It's only you can use a cheap coffee, then I think even if you use cheap coffee, then I don't think it will recover all the BP break-even points. But anyway, this is due to the competitiveness. As a low-end market is about to getting competitive. So if I sum up this kind of things, I can share the 3 items. So direction, taste is changing and moving upward to similar to other countries. And roasted coffee market is still growing, and total coffee market is still growing too. So the market future is quite bright. But the only problem is that competitiveness is too high, so it's not easy for each player to compete with. And due to the instant coffee, the people thought the coffee should be within sugar, and due to the franchise coffee, early stage of franchise coffee, it was tend to be really a bitter one, which is not right at all. So people thought coffee should be bitter. There was pre-perception on the elder people, so it's going to change. And nowadays, young people like our generation tend to seek crafting more, so it's not easy for big company to start from the scratch. And the thing is that the rising star is still rare in here, meaning not a single company, not a specialty coffee company couldn't get more than 3% of market share. I think the biggest one is about 1 to 2% of total market. So in terms of that, if there will be endless, there will be the coffee company will be there with the doing the specialty things with double-digit market share, then hope we will be there. And the last thing is that getting quality and scale became different matter in Korea because, like I said, Koreans are really adapted to receive the new things and getting easily bored of things. So easily is not to achieve the economy scale, which is a really core thing for the company. So what Starbucks once made, we don't think it can happen twice. So there's the thing. So this is for the coffee industry. Is this era of searching and testing the next step solution. Yeah, that'd be all. Thank you.